Contra dance refers to a folk dance, similar to a squared dance, except instead of the square formation, it is danced in lines of couples, with every other couple facing up or down the hall. It has mixed origins from English country dance, Scottish, French dance styles in the 17th century, with strong African influence from Appalachia. Sometimes described as New England folk dance or Appalachian folk dance, contra dances can be found around the world and have much popularity in North America and the United Kingdom, where weekly or monthly dances and annual dance weekends are common. According to the Contra Dance Links website, contra dancing can be found in all 50 U.S. states. Considered a social dance that one can attend without a partner, but is danced in pairs, contra dancing is danced in long lines of couples pairs formed starting from the stage and down the dance hall. Throughout the course of a dance, couples progress up and down these lines, dancing with each other couple in the line. The dance is led by a caller who teaches the sequence of figures in the dance before the music starts. Callers describe the series of steps called figures, and in a single dance, a caller may include anywhere from 6–12 figures which are repeated as couples progress up and down the lines. Each time through the dance takes 64 beats, after which the pattern is repeated. For more details, see contra dance form. The music played for contra dances includes, but is not limited to Irish, Scottish, old-time and French-Canadian folk tunes. The fiddle is considered the core instrument, though other stringed instruments such as the guitar, banjo, bass and mandolin are played as well. Music in a dance can consist of a single tune or a medley of tunes, and key changes during the course of a dance are common. History: at the end of the 17th century, English country dances were taken up by French dance masters. The French called these dances contra dances or contredanses, as indicated in a 1710 dance book called Recueil de Contredanse. As time progressed, these dances returned to England and were spread and reinterpreted in the United States, and eventually the French form of the name came to be associated with the American folk dances, where they were alternatively called country dances, or in some parts of New England such as New Hampshire, contredances. Contra dances were fashionable in the United States and were considered one of the most popular social dances across class lines in the late 18th century, though these events were usually referred to as country dances until the 1780s, when the term contra dance became more common to describe these events. In the mid-19th century, group dances started to decline in popularity in favor of quadrilles, lancers, and couple dances such as the waltz and polka. Henry Ford, founder of the Ford Motor Company, had a role in preserving contra and American folk dancing generally, in part as a response in opposition to modern jazz influences in the United States. In the 1920s, he asked friend and dance coordinator in Massachusetts, Henry Lovett, to come to Michigan to begin a dance program. Initially, Lovett could not as he was under contract at a local inn. Consequently, Ford bought the property rights to the inn. Lovett and Ford initiated a dance program in Dearborn, Michigan that included several folk dances, including contras. Ford also published a book titled Good Morning, After a Sleep of 25 Years, Old-Fashioned Dancing is being revived in 1926, detailing steps for some contra dances. In the 1930s and 1940s, contra dances appear to have been done only in small towns in widely scattered parts of northeastern North America, such as Ohio, the Maritime Provinces of Canada, and particularly northern New England. Ralph Page almost single-handedly maintained the New England tradition until it was revitalized in the 1950s and 1960s, particularly by Ted Sanella and Dudley Loffman. The New England contra dance tradition was also maintained by the Ed Larkin Old-Time Contra Dancers, formed by Edwin Loyal Larkin in 1934. The group he founded is still performing, teaching the dances, and holds monthly open house dances in Tunbridge. By then, early dance camps, retreats, and weekends had emerged, such as Pinewoods Camp, in Plymouth, Massachusetts, which became primarily a music and dance camp in 1933, and NEFFA, the New England Folk Festival, also in Massachusetts, which began in 1944. These and others continue to be popular, and some offer other dances and activities besides contra dancing. In the 1970s, Sonella and other callers introduced movements from English country dance, such as hares and gypsies, to the contra dances. New dances, such as Shadrach's Delight by Tony Parks, featured symmetrical dancing by all couples. Double progression dances, popularized by Herbie Gaudreau, added to the aerobic nature of the dances, and one caller, Gene Hubert, wrote a quadruple progression dance, Contra Madness. Beckett formation was introduced, with partners next to each other in the line instead of opposite. The Brattleboro Dawn dance started in 1976, and continues to run semi-annually. In the early 1980s, Todd Whitmore started the first Saturday dance in the Peterborough Town House, which remains one of the more popular regional dances. The Peterborough dance influenced Bob McQuillan, who became a notable musician in New England. As musicians and callers moved to other locations, they founded contra dances in Michigan, Washington, Oregon, California, Texas, and elsewhere. In the 1970s, the Boston area lesbian and gay folk dance was the first group regularly contra dancing without gender roles. Its dances were referred to as gender-free, or gender-neutral dances. In 1981, a group in Minneapolis-St. Paul, Minnesota, called Lesbi Gay and Dance was started, in which callers deliberately eliminated references to gender by avoiding the terms ladies, or gents. In 1987, Chris Richter started a gay dance group in Providence, Rhode Island, using the terms ladies and gents, although dancers were not lining up according to gender. Other gender-free dance groups started in the area after that, and in 1989, at the Gender-Free Dance Group in Jamaica Plain, Massachusetts, a group of dancers led by Janet Dillon protested the use of these terms, and the armband system was devised. The traditionally male role dancers would wear armbands and be called armbands, or just bands, and the traditionally female role dancers would be called bare arms, or just bears. Events. Unless explicitly labeled otherwise, contra dance events are open to all, regardless of experience. They are family-friendly, and alcohol consumption is not part of the culture. Many events offer beginner-level instructions prior to the dance. A typical evening of contra dance is 3 hours long, including an intermission. The event consists of a number of individual contra dances, divided by a scattering of other partner dances, perhaps one or more waltzes, schottisches, polkas, or Swedish hambos. In some places, square dances are thrown into the mix. Music for the evening is typically performed by a live band, playing jigs and reels from Ireland, Scotland, Canada, or the USA. The tunes are traditional and more than a century old, or modern compositions which follow the same form as the traditional pieces. Rarely, a rock tune will be woven in, to the delight of the dancers. Generally, a leader, known as a caller, will teach each individual dance just before the music for that dance begins. During this introductory walkthrough, participants learn the dance by walking through the steps and formations, following the caller's instructions. The caller gives the instructions orally, and sometimes augments them with demonstrations of steps by experienced dancers in the group. The walkthrough usually proceeds in the order of the moves as they will be done with the music. In some dances, the caller may vary the order of moves during the dance, a fact that is usually explained as part of the caller's instructions. After the walkthrough, the music begins and the dancers repeat that sequence some number of times before the dance ends, often 10 to 15 minutes, depending on the length of the contra lines. Calls are normally given at least the first few times through, and often for the last. At the end of each dance, the dancers thank their partners. The contra dance tradition in North America is to change partners for every dance, while in the United Kingdom typically people dance with the same partner the entire evening. One who attends an evening of contra dances in North America does not need to bring his or her own partner. In the short break between individual dances, women and men invite each other to dance. Booking ahead by asking partner or partners ahead of time for each individual dance is common at some venues, but has been discouraged by some. Most contra dances do not have a strict dress code. No special outfits are worn, but comfortable and loose-fitting clothing that does not restrict movement is usually recommended. Lightweight skirts are often worn, at some dances by men as well as women, as these have a very pretty effect when swinging or twirling. However, low, broken-in, soft-soled, non-marking shoes, such as dance shoes, sneakers, or sandals, are recommended and, in some places, required. As dancing can be aerobic, dancers are sometimes encouraged to bring a change of clothes. As in any social dance, cooperation is vital to contra dancing. Since over the course of any single dance, individuals interact with not just their partners but everyone else in the set, contra dancing might be considered a group activity. As will necessarily be the case when beginners are welcomed in by more practiced dancers, mistakes are made. Most dancers are willing to help beginners in learning the steps. However, because the friendly, social nature of the dances can be misinterpreted or even abused, some groups have created anti-harassment policies. Form equals formations equals. Contra dances are arranged in long lines of couples. A pair of lines is called a set. Sets are generally arranged so they run the length of the hall, with the top of the set being the end closest to the band and caller. Correspondingly, the bottom of the set is the end farthest from the caller. Couples consist of two people, traditionally but not necessarily one male and one female, typically referred to as the gentleman or man, and lady or woman. Couples interact primarily with an adjacent couple for each round of the dance. Each subgroup of two interacting couples is known to choreographers as a minor set and to dancers as a foursome or hands four. Couples in the same minor set are neighbors. Minor sets originate at the head of the set, starting with the topmost dancers as the ones. The other couple are twos. The ones are said to be above their neighboring twos. Twos are below. If there is an uneven number of couples dancing, the bottommost couple will wait out the first time through the dance. There are four common ways of arranging couples in the minor sets: proper, improper, Beckett, and triple formations. There are many additional forms a contra dance may take. 5 of them are triplet, indecent, four-face four, and whole set. Progression equals. A fundamental aspect of contra dancing is that the same dance, one time through which lasts roughly 30 seconds, is repeated over and over, but each time you dance with new neighbors. This change is effected by progressing the ones down the set and progressing the twos up. A single dance runs around 10 minutes, long enough to progress 15 to 20 times. If the sets are short to medium length, the caller will often try to run the dance until each couple has danced with every other couple both as a 1 and a 2 and return to where they started. With longer sets, this would require long enough sets that the caller will usually only run the dance all the way around on non-equal turn dances. Choreography. Contra dance choreography specifies the dance formation, figures, and the sequence of those figures in a dance. Notably, contra dance figures do not have defined footwork. Within the limits of the music and the comfort of their fellow dancers, individuals move according to their own taste. Most contra dances consist of a sequence of about 6 to 12 individual figures, prompted by the caller in time to the music as the figures are danced. As the sequence repeats, the caller may cut down his or her prompting, and eventually drop out, leaving the dancers to each other and their music. A figure is a pattern of movement that typically takes 8 counts, although figures with 4 or 16 counts are also common. Each dance is a collection of figures assembled to allow the dancers to progress along the set. A count is 1/2 of a musical measure, such as 1/4 note in February 4th time or 3/8 notes in June 8th time. A count may also be called a step, as contra dances are walking form, and each count of a dance typically matches a single physical step in a figure. Typical contra dance choreography comprises 4 parts, each 16 counts long. The parts are called A1, A2, B1 and B2. This nomenclature stems from the music. Most contra dance tunes have 2 parts, each 8 measures long, and each fitting one part of the dance. The A and B parts are each played twice in a row, hence, A1, A2, B1, B2. While the same music is generally played in, for example, Parts A1 and A2, distinct choreography is followed in those parts. Thus, a contra dance is typically 64 counts, and goes with a 32-measure tune. Tunes of this form are called square. Tunes that deviate from this form are called crooked. Sample contra dances, traditional, the actives do most of the movement, chorus jig, A1 actives down the outside and back. The inactives stand still or substitute a swing, A2 actives down the center, turn individually, come back, and cast off. The inactives stand still for the first march forth, take a step up the hall, and then participate in the cast, B1 actives turn contra corners. The inactives participate in half the turns, B2 actives meet in the middle for a balance and swing, end swing facing up. The inactives stand still, note, inactives will often clog in place or otherwise participate in the dance, even though the figures do not call for them to move. Modern, the dance is symmetrical for actives and inactives, Hey in the Bun by Chart Guthrie, A1 neighbors balance and swing. A2 ladies chain across, half hey, ladies pass right shoulders to start. B1 partners balance and swing. B2 ladies chain across, half hey, ladies pass right shoulders to start. Many modern contra dances have these characteristics, long ways for as many as will, first couples improper, or Beckett formation, flowing choreography, no one stationary for more than 16 beats, containing at least one swing and normally both a partner swing and a neighbor swing, the vast majority of the moves from a set of well-known moves that the dancers know already, composed mostly of moves that keep you connected to the other dancers, generally danced to 32-bar jigs or reels played at between 110 and 130 BPM, danced with a smooth walk with lots of spins and twirls. An event which consists primarily of dances in this style is sometimes referred to as a modern urban contra dance. Music. The most common contra dance repertoire is rooted in the Anglo-Celtic tradition as it developed in North America. Irish, Scottish, French-Canadian, and old-time tunes are common, and klezmer tunes have also been used. The old-time repertoire includes very few of the jigs common in the others. Tunes used for a contra dance are nearly always square 64-beat tunes, in which one time through the tune is each of two 16-beat parts played twice. However, any 64-beat tune will do. For instance, 3 8-beat parts could be played AABBAACC, or 2 8-beat parts and one 16-beat part could be played AABBCC. Tunes not 64 beats long are called crooked, and are almost never used for contra dancing, although a few crook dances have been written as novelties. In terms of instrumentation, fiddles are considered to be the primary instrument in contra dancing, though other stringed instruments can also be used, such as the mandolin, banjo, or guitar. Occasionally, percussion instruments are also used in contra dancing, such as the Irish bodhrán or less frequently, the doumbek or washboard. Until the 1970s it was traditional to play a single tune for the duration of a contra dance. Since then, contra dance musicians have typically played tunes in sets of 2 or 3 related tunes, though single-tuned dances are again becoming popular with some northeastern bands. In the Celtic repertoires it is common to change keys with each tune. A set might start with a tune in G, switch to a tune in D, and end with a tune in BM. Here, D is related to G as its dominant, while D and BM share a key signature of 2 sharps. In the old-time tradition the musicians will either play the same tune for the whole dance, or switch to tunes in the same key. This is because the tunings of the banjo are key-specific. An old-time band might play a set of tunes in D, then use the time between dances to retune for a set of tunes in A. In the Celtic repertoires it is most common for bands to play sets of reels and sets of jigs. However, since the underlying beat structure of jigs and reels is the same, bands will occasionally mix jigs and reels in a set. In recent years, younger contra dancers have begun establishing crossover contra, or techno-contra dancing to techno, hip-hop, and other modern forms of music. While challenging for DJs and callers, the fusion of contra patterns with moves from hip-hop, tango, and other forms of dance has made this form of contra dance a rising trend since 2008. It has become especially prevalent in Asheville, North Carolina, but regular techno contra dance series are spreading up the East Coast to locales such as Charlottesville, Virginia, Washington, D.C., Amherst, Massachusetts, and Greenfield, Massachusetts, with one-time or annual events cropping up in locations further west, including California, Portland, Oregon and Washington State. See also, Bob Dulsma, Quadrille, Sci-Li Dance. References. Bibliography. External links, Contra Dance Associations. Country Dance and Song Society preserves a variety of Anglo-American folk traditions in North America, including folk music, folk song, English country dance, contra dance and Morris dance. Anglo-American Dance Service based in Belgium, promoting contra dance and English dance in Western Europe. Descriptions and definitions. Gary Shapiro's What is Contra Dance? Hamilton Contra Dance is a contra dance primer. Sharon Barrett Kennedy's Now, What in the World is Contra Dancing? Different Traditions and Cultures in Contra Dance. Colin Hume's Advice to Americans in England, Mary Dart's book Contra Dance Choreography, A Reflection of Social Change. Research resources. University of New Hampshire Special Collections, New Hampshire Library of Traditional Music and Dance. Finding Contra Dances. CDSS Dance Map, interactive, crowd-sourced map of contra and folk dances around the world, contra dance links, calendars and further links for the world, the Dance Gypsy, locations of contra dances, and many other folk dances, around the world, NEFFA Linkfest, indices of contra dances around the world, as well as callers and musicians. In North America, Contra USA, participative map of U.S. dances, Contra Corners, map of U.S. dances, Ted Crane's dance database. In France, Contra Dance in Paris, Contra Dance in Paris and North France. Photography and video. A video from the Concord Scout House in Massachusetts. Doug Plummer's Northwest Contra Dance Photos and New England Contra Dance Photos, a video of the Montpelier, Vermont Contra Dance, Wilmenta Calling for Beeswax Sheepskin, 2 American country dance films on DVD, Country Corners, and Full of Life A Dancin'. A 2009 video of Crowfoot playing a contra dance, Tacoma, Washington.